She believed she could conceal her affair, but I was waiting for her at home. The silence between us was heavy, more suffocating than any words could ever be. When I confronted her, she stood there, her face a mask of guilt and desperation, searching for something, anything, to help her escape the reality of what she had done. "I never meant for it to go this far," she whispered, her voice trembling. I was confused. I didn't want to hurt you. But the truth was, there was no justification for her actions. No amount of tears or apologies could erase the years of deceit, lies, and betrayal. And though I had loved her once, something inside me had shattered. The man who had stood before her, trusting and forgiving, was gone. He had been replaced by someone who could see the truth for what it was, a cold, heart-wrenching betrayal. "You can't undo this, Sarah," I said, my voice sharp with bitterness. "You've crossed a line and there's no going back." Her attempts to reconcile, promising to fix everything and begging for another chance, fell on deaf ears. I had been patient and forgiving in the past, but now it was time to face reality. I wasn't going to let her get away with it. Not anymore. In the days that followed, I gathered all the evidence I could find, receipts, photos, and text messages that were damning beyond doubt. This wasn't just a mistake. It was a deliberate, calculated act. I had all the proof I needed to show the world exactly who she was. When this went to court, there would be no way she could deny it. I no longer trusted her, not after everything she'd done. She had shown me her true self. The woman I thought I knew had been nothing more than an illusion, a version of her I had created in my mind. The real Sarah was a stranger, someone willing to deceive and betray for her own satisfaction. I filed for divorce, ensuring I wouldn't leave with anything less than what was rightfully mine. This wasn't just about ending a marriage. It was about cutting the ties that had bound us for years. I didn't care about promises or apologies anymore. This was no longer about love. It was about justice. I had to protect myself, to ensure I wasn't left broken and empty. The court case was a battle, but I had all the evidence I needed. The text exchanges between her and her lover were incriminating. There were pictures, 2 photographs, of her within my hotels, outside restaurants, and at places I had believed were special to us. Every piece of proof painted a clear picture of what had been happening behind my back. I carefully pieced it all together, creating a narrative so vivid that even she couldn't deny it. When we sat in that courtroom, I could feel her gaze on me, but I refused to look her way. I no longer needed to see her face. The betrayal was already too real. The emotions that once tied me to her, love, trust, affection, had vanished. What remained was a cold, logical resolve to ensure this chapter of my life ended as it should. There was no room for forgiveness, no space for second chances. The judge listened intently as I presented every piece of evidence. There was no room for doubt. This wasn't just a fleeting affair. It was a calculated effort to deceive and manipulate me. She had made her choices, and now it was time to face the consequences. I didn't need to say much. The evidence spoke for itself. By the time it was over, the verdict was clear. The judge ruled in my favor. I was awarded everything, the house, the assets, everything we had built together. As for Sarah, she walked away with nothing. The affair had cost her more than just my trust. It had cost her everything. I couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication as I listened to the gavel strike. This wasn't just a legal victory. It was a triumph over the pain she had caused me, over the lies she had told. She stood there, empty-handed, as the weight of it all sank in. I had kept every receipt, every message, every photo. That proved what she had done. I had ensured the courts knew exactly the kind of person she had become. The man who had once loved her, who had once given her everything, had now taken it all back. And in the end, she had nothing to show for it. I could feel her eyes burning into my back as I walked away from the courtroom. She had always been the center of my world, the one I thought I could never live without. But now, she meant nothing to me. I had seen the truth, and there was no turning back. I had lost a woman I loved, but I had gained something far more valuable: my dignity, my peace of mind, and a future that no longer included her. As I left the courthouse, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. The battle was over. I had been wronged, but I had fought for what was rightfully mine. Though it was painful, I knew I had made the right choice. There was no going back, no second chances. Sarah's betrayal had burned the bridge between us, and there was no repairing what had been destroyed. For the first time in months, I felt free. I was no longer weighed down by lies and secrets. I was done, and as I walked out of that courtroom, I knew I was taking the first steps toward healing. The pain was still there, but the future was finally mine to shape. Without her, without the lies. And that was all I needed. I no longer had to be haunted by the past. No longer had to pretend everything was okay. It wasn't, but it would be. I had learned that sometimes the only way to move forward is to completely let go of the past. And as I left that courtroom, walking into a future I couldn't yet fully see, but felt sure of, I realized I had already taken the first step toward healing